we will use one of our pencils to draw an object with irregular shapes. We have our model, that is a carrot, in a certain position, and we will have to draw it. To draw it, we will use the hardest pencil. An interesting and easy way to draw any type of object is to first find the geometric shape it suggests. In the case of this carrot, the top looks like a circle, and the rest of its body looks like a straight line. Realize that I am not squeezing the pencil too much. Now, I dedicate to giving it the right form. I also have to think that this object casts a shadow and has a bit of texture as well. Done. Once I have the correct shape of my drawing, I will start shading. Using the same pencil, I will use this type of shading that I taught you to create some volume. I also wanted to tell you that you should keep observing the object you are trying to represent so that you can see if the object has stronger areas of darkness. Maybe it has more intense areas or maybe other textures. That's it. For example, this is roughly the object with shadow. If I also want the shadow to fade a little more, to be a little more integrated, I can use one of the paper blending stamp that comes in the drawing set. I will use a number 5 and I will blur this shade a bit. Now I have a general shadow. I will reinforce the line below a bit. To make it a bit sharper, I will use the same pencil, that is the hard one. I will squeeze a little more, just that. Now I will use the medium pencil to reinforce the shadows. Know that using the same pressure, I get a much stronger or much more intense level of shadows. I will also use the paper blending stamp. At this moment, I have to be aware of not losing the shape of my object. I create a little more shade. You have to do pressure tests on the pencil. That is, how strong is the shadow you can get by pressing your charcoal a bit more. And as I had told you before, it is important to use as many techniques as possible. If you have noticed, I am using the cross-hatching and the same techniques. The crosshatch tries to follow the shape of the carrot, which is irregular and rounded. The good thing is that the stain below integrates everything. An important point in this of the drawing is to know where we have to press the pencil more to make the figure have more volume. If you have noticed at the top, the line is dimmer because it is the area where more light arrives. On the contrary, in this area below, where the light does not reach much, it is where I am squeezing the charcoal pencil more. Another important aspect in this is the shadow casted by the object. If the light comes from above, it is obvious that the shadow will occupy this part right here. For that, I will use the soft or soft charcoal pencil. You have to work carefully because we could create an unwanted stain. In this situation, it's good to know that the shadow is not so fixed, not so solid. We could blur it. We could pull the shadow a little more. Because as the shadows move away from the object, they start to blur. The good thing about the paper blending stamp is that it is pointed shape. Help us to work on the details. Then we reinforce the shadows by squeezing a little more. Look at it, I have pressed much more here. Here as well, to give it an accent. I was able to blur a little so that everything is integrated. I will apply the paper blending and stamping the shadows so that they blur a bit. By doing that, we'll obtain a greater amount of tonal values.